Hello, my dear students. Welcome all of you to my class. Today, we will continue with the chapter 2, the regional kingdoms from history. In previous classes, we have discussed about the rise of new kings and kingdom in the early medieval period, tripartite struggle over the possession of Kannauj, origin and growth of the Rajputs, South Peninsular India, and the raids of the Mahmud Ghazani. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the case study of the Cholas. The Cholas came into prominence in the 9th century CE under Vijayalaya, who conquered Thanjore or Thanjavur by defeating Pallavas. Some important Chola rulers are Raja I, also known as Mummadi Choladeva. He also captured the islands of the Lakshadweep and Maldives. Rajendra I transformed the Chola kingdom into a mightiest kingdom in India by the middle of the 11th century. He undertook military campaigns in North India, crossing the river Ganga and defeating the northern kingdoms. To mark this victory, he assumed the title of Gangaikonda Cholapuram. He annexed the whole of Sri Lanka, established supremacy over the Pandya and Pala kings, and also expanded commercial contacts with the Malay Peninsula. Now we are going to discuss the administration of Chola kingdom. The king was the most important person in Chola administration. Chola king headed the administration and ran it with the help of his ministers. Often the king went on tours in order to keep a connection with his subjects, mean the country people. The Cholas maintained a large army consisting of elephants, cavalry, and the infantry, which were called the three limbs of the army. The Cholas also had a strong navy, which dominated the Malabar and the Coromandel coast, and for some time the entire Bay of Bengal. The Chola Empire was divided into mandalams or the provinces, and they in turn were divided into the Valandu or the Nadus or the districts. The Nadus were subdivided into the Kurams or group of villages. The smallest unit was Gram or village. So the structure of Chola Empire is the highest position is their mandalams or provinces. Next one, Valandu or Nadus or districts, and each Nadus again were subdivided into Kurams or the group of villages, and the smallest unit was Gramam or village. One village only was called as Gramam or village. The revenue structure of Chola Empire. The main source of income for the Cholas was the land revenue, which was collected either in the caste or kind of the village assemblies. The two types of landlords were Brahmanas and rich farmers known as Vellalas. Cultivated land with the help of payers. The state shared with the fixed at 1/3 of the produce. Other source of income were duty and toll tax and taxes on mines and forest and other taxes on different professions. So the main sources of revenue were taxes from the land and trade. और क्या था कि जो वर कॉन्क्वेस्ट पे जो लूटेड सामान थे जो सोल्जर कैरी करके लेके आते थे वो भी था लैंड रेवेन्यू का एक मेन सोर्स. The tax-free land grants, also known as Brahmadeya, were given to the Brahmins. Trade was well organized and traders formed guild called Manigramam or the Nadesha. Irrigation facilities of Chola Empire. The Cholas were responsible for agrarian developments and the expansion by bringing more areas under cultivation and improving the irrigation facilities. Apart from the utilizing water from the river Kaveri and other rivers, the Cholas also stored water in a huge tank. The village assemblies were responsible for maintaining the tank. The Cholas also spent huge amounts on building canals and wells. A sluice gate was used to regulate water supply into a water channel, which helped in irrigation of the agricultural field. The village communities owned the land. Embankments were built to prevent flooding, while canals carried water directly to the fields through channels to water the crops. The system of local self-government was very well developed in Chola Empire. The administrative work was carried out with the help of village assemblies such as Ur, Sabha, and Nagaram. Ur was a common village assembly, Sabha was the assembly of learned men, and Nagaram consisted of merchants, traders, and artisans. Mahasabha or Sabha was the assembly in those villages where all the land was owned by Brahmanas. The villages enjoyed a lot of freedom. The affairs of the village was managed by the executive committee whose members were either elected by drawing lots of rotation after every 3 years. There were several committees also which looked after law and order, assessment and collection of land revenue, look after the distribution of water. The Mahasabha had the power to raise loans for the village and impose taxes. Art and architecture, or we can say the temples and sculpture of Chola Empire. The Cholas were great patrons of art and architecture and made significant contribution in this field. The beautiful cities of Thanjore and Gangaikonda Cholapuram have been described and praised by the writers of this period. The Chola period witnessed an improvement in Dravidian art and architecture. The Cholas built many temples in the Dravidian style of architecture. The Brihadeshwara temples of Thanjavur and Gangaikonda Cholapuram are the finest example of the Chola architecture. They have been designated a World Heritage Site. Bronze casting has a long history in South India. The most renowned bronze images of period are one kind of Nataraj or the dancing Shiva. So my dear children, that's the end for today's session. We will meet in our next class with new topics. Till then, bye. Take a very good care of yourself and happy learning.